Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We're back again with more Ruined King, and this time I wanted to provide some general tips to help people that are trying to play through the game. Ruined King can absolutely be difficult if you're not playing it correctly, and I think thus far it's a fantastic game. So I want to make sure all of you are armed with the information to have a good time going through the game world and finishing its quest. Let's go ahead and dive right in. First and foremost, let's start with the obvious one: save often. I think this is pretty much standard for any RPG that you play. You don't want to be in a position where you've done quite a bit of work, finished some difficult fights, but you forgot to save, all of a sudden died, and then you end up having to do that all over again. Ruined King does have some automatic save points, but in my opinion, they are not nearly enough. So I definitely feel like the weight is on you to make sure that you have save points. And I would say you should be using multiple save slots to ensure if you need to reload that you can get back exactly to the point where you want to be. Second tip, which might be a little bit less obvious, go ahead and pick up everything. Everything has a use. There is no weight system in the game, so you can have as many items as you like, and things can be used for enchanting or equipment or potions or gold. There's pretty much nothing you pick up where you're like, this has no use for me whatsoever. So go ahead, open up all of the canisters, making sure that you're getting everything that you can out of a particular area. You'll find some way to use it, no doubt. All right, so now that we've got the standard RPG tips out the way, let's go through the ones that are specifically for Ruined King. So number 3 on the list is stay in your lane. And when I say that, I mean that when you look at the party members that you get in this game, you can basically set them up to be healers, buffers, debuffers, tanks, or damage dealers. And oftentimes you'll see characters that can be built up to satisfy multiple roles. And it might be tempting to make them a jack of all trades. And if that's what's fun for you, then by all means do that. This is all about having a good time. But if you want the easiest time possible with the game, then I would strongly recommend you go ahead and lean into whatever is the obvious strength for the particular character. So for example, Braum. He comes with his shield. He's got a bunch of powers that all revolve around protecting him and drawing attention to him. It's pretty obvious he's meant to be a tank. So go ahead and make sure that you're focusing on building him out as a tank. Now, he also does have a bunch of damage dealing powers, but he's never going to do as much damage as the other DPS characters that are focused on that particular role. So if it's more fun for you to kind of divvy up his skills and be good at everything, then by all means do so. But if your real focus is trying to be as effective as you can in combat so you can get through it as quickly and painlessly as possible, it would be to your advantage to go ahead and focus on the role that he's clearly meant to fill in the team. On a similar note, it's worth noting that respect is always available. Meaning, whether it comes to the abilities that you choose or the rune slots that you have access to, at any point in time, you can pull one of those crystals out and then place them somewhere else in a talent that you feel like makes more sense. So you are never locked into the decisions that you have made. So maybe in the beginning of the game, you're using Braum more so for DPS. But then towards the middle of the game, things start getting harder. You feel like your other character's getting hit up. You want to make him into a tank. You could just go right into his ability screens, pull out a bunch of the crystals, and then put them in the places where they need to be. So it's very, very easy to, on the fly, make a different decision about what kind of role you want your character to take. And I actually love this part of the game. I feel like it gives you a lot of flexibility to at any point in time decide how you want to play the game. So if you're getting bored with combat and the way things are, you can either put in completely new party members, or you could just completely reimagine how the party members you have approach combat. Really, really cool. Next on the list, use potions sparingly. So there are some games where you can create potions whenever you want, or you can buy them all the time. So there's really no reason to hang on to them. Ruin King doesn't work like that. Money is very finite in this game. You don't want to just go around squandering it. And you have no way to be able to make potions of your own. Consequently, potions are basically an emergency backup to help ensure that if you're running around an area and you're nowhere near a rest point, that you can go ahead and keep going. Not to mention the fact that resting in this game brings back all of the regular enemies in the area. So oftentimes, even if you're near a rest point, you won't necessarily want to use it, which means you definitely want to make sure you have potions available that is going to recharge your health and mana and get you back into the fight. And it's going to be difficult to make sure you have those available if you're chugging them every time you've lost some health. You should be using opportunities in combat to generate overcharge for your healer and then recharge other people's health that way. And then as far as mana, you want to be using abilities with your overcharge, not with your actual mana, so that you can conserve as much of it as possible. Again, these are just tips to try to make things easier for you. If you decide it's your personal preference to just blow through your supplies and blow through all your mana, hey, by all means, do what you want to do. But just keep in mind, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, that could put you in some really, really difficult situations. Next up, make sure you're upgrading your fishing equipment. So there are multiple points all throughout the game world where you'll get these fishing spots. And you can turn those fish in to get black marks that can be used at special vendors. However, the game doesn't really make it clear that if you do not upgrade this equipment, you flat out will not be able to fish. In other games, if you don't upgrade your fishing hook, then the line might break too early. And so it makes it harder for you to bring the fish in, but doesn't necessarily prevent you from doing so. In Ruin King, if your lure is not at a similar level as the fish you are trying to get, they flat out will not be attracted to it, and you will be given no opportunity to try to reel them in. So it's absolutely to your advantage. Every time you're around a vendor that sells fishing equipment, go ahead, pop in and see if there's an upgrade available to you. For the most part, it seems like the fishing equipment upgrades along with your level. So if you're level 20, then you should be using a level 20 fishing hook and a level 20 lure. And then the final tip on that same note, make sure that you're trading in your black marks for things that you want from the specialized vendor. I personally prefer to go for runes. So there are books that you can trade that will allow you to then get runes for your characters where they can update specific abilities and get a lot of passive buffs. And some of those changes are really, really nice for your character. There are other things the vendor has, like unique costumes, and you can get chests for equipment. I wouldn't recommend that. You're going to be changing your equipment in and out as you level up anyway, so I don't think it's worth using the black marks for that. But depending upon the type of player that you are, it might be worth your time to go ahead and invest in some of those. And those are my tips for Ruin King. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like down below, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.